All right, welcome back here to the Xfinity Sports Report, your Colorado high school connection. Couple more segments left. Brian Roth back with you. Time to break down the first half of the high school basketball season. And in studio, joining me to do that, Cory Lopez. Of course, you've seen Cory as the host of the program many times, also has covered high school sports for many outlets around the state of Colorado for many years. Cory, thanks for joining us. Let's start in 5A. And I think a lot of us believe now it might be turning into a two-man race. Now, certainly we have a lot of the season to go. There are going to be some contenders, but Denver East throttling everybody in state, Fossil Ridge destroying everybody in state. Those two look like the two clear-cut favorites.
Yeah, and East, do you realize it's been over 5 years since East has actually won a state championship? So it shows you how hard it is. They're there, have the opportunities. They're in the semifinals, they're in the finals, but it's that hard to get to the top of the mountain. You know, Eagle Crest gets the win last year. So this is how hard it's going to be, I think, for Fossil Ridge to be able to do this. I mean, perennially, Coach Johansson has been able to get them into the quarterfinals, maybe get them to a Final Four. It's going to take something special from them. I mean, they've got 5 seniors. Nobody scores over basically 14 points a game. For East, you just kind of expect them to be there. But that I was going back and looking last night. It's how hard it is to win a state championship in Class 5A. We always put East as the #1 team almost every year going in preseason. 5 years since they've won it. They went back-to-back, of course.
Yeah, and obviously they were the favorites going into last year, into the state championship game, got upset by Eagle Crest, and I think many of us thought that was really going to motivate them coming into this season, and I think it has. Again, they haven't lost in state. Of course, Ronnie Harrell goes down, the Creighton signee, hairline fracture in his wrist. He's coming back soon, but he's missed the last 3 or 4 games. What can you say about Dominique Collier? And I think a lot of us felt like he was the best player coming into the season.
Yeah.
But they had so many weapons. He wasn't always asked to score as much as maybe other teams asked their best player to do. And he has been outstanding. He had 32 Friday night in a blowout win against TJ.
You know, we've been saying it since we've been doing the games and watching him since he was a freshman. He's so unselfish, and he does need to score more. That was always my thought process, was you need to take this team on your back sometimes and realize it. Well, now that he's a senior, he knows when it's time to do that. Harrell goes out, he puts up 32 the other night. That's kind of his MO. Now he's figured out when it's time to step up and do that. And you've got a good point guard in Brian Carey, knows when to get the ball to Dom, but can distribute that ball as well. But when it's time to go, you got to look to your one guy, and Collier's figured it out here over the last couple of seasons. It is time to put the team on the back, and don't feel bad about it. Just go get the W. And we saw a little bit of that in the state finals last year. He needed to step it up. They almost got there, almost able to beat Eagle Crest, and we'll really see it this season. I think they're on a mission.
Yeah, and again, his last 4 games, 29, 37, 40, 32 is what Collier's done, all of it with Ronnie Harrell out. As for Fossil Ridge, again, if you've watched the program here tonight, you saw her feature, you saw some highlights of their victory against Fairview. They're deep. They have great chemistry. They pass the ball. They're unselfish. They run, they jump, they press, and they defend. I think those two teams are clearly the best. I don't think either one of them is going to be challenged in the league. We mentioned Monarch and Fossil Ridge coming up next week. Game we'll have for you right here on XSR. But Denver East isn't going to be challenged in the DPL. So those two, I think, again, opposite sides of the brackets. We'll see. Still a lot of basketball to be played. How about the contenders in 5A? Who are the other teams that deserve to be a part of the conversation? Because I think after you get the first 2, there's about 6, 7, 8 that are all kind of mixed together.
Well, I'm just going to throw the Centennial Conference out there. There's 5 really good teams there. I think they're the ones. You realize since Denver East went back-to-back in 07 and 08 before that, that was that fantastic Final Four with 4 Centennial Conference teams in there. They beat up on each other, so they're battle-tested going in. So I think 1 or 2 of them could sneak in, but I can't put my finger on who it's going to be. I mean, Eagle Crest has a chance to beat East. Jay-Sean Jackson hits that jumper. Maybe it's a different look for them. He did actually get one the other night as they beat Grandview. He hit the buzzer beater there. So I don't even want to take Eagle Crest out. And we knew it was going to be a bit of a rebuilding year for them. And there's 5 teams. Overland's still young, but you never know. Grandview's always got them there. Gary Childress always has them there every year. Coach Brookhart. I know they've gone through kind of some rough times over the last couple of weeks and some tough losses, but you can't count them out. They're just going to keep beating on each other and be battle-tested for the playoffs.
Yeah, and you look at the Continental League. Regis has been a surprise team. They lost on Friday night to just a 4-win Chaparral team, which I think surprised everybody. And of course, Mountain Vista, they're sitting at 14-1, and Bob Wood has them playing very well once again. And we'll throw out Grand Junction as well. We haven't seen them much on the Front Range. I don't know if anybody has. We certainly haven't here at XSR. They sit at 11-2. All right, to 4A, and I think that is wide open. You have Valor Christian at number 1, Thompson Valley at number 2. You have Sand Creek down there in Colorado Springs. That's awfully tough, but I think it's anybody's gold ball.
Yeah, it's pretty wide open. We'll see how it goes once they get into the playoffs. But this midpoint, you got to say Valor's probably the best team out there. But I think the real surprise is Thompson Valley. They've got a senior-laden team. Colin Smith has been playing fantastic. And for Thompson Valley, it's kind of nice to see. A long time ago, 12, 13 years ago, I was covering the Loveland teams down there, and Thompson Valley was the other team. Loveland was the great team. Coach Mike Broyles down there, of course, won a state championship with Loveland, won it with Heritage as well. He was going along. But Thompson Valley, nobody ever talked about him. That rivalry game would get packed up, and Loveland would kill him every time. It's nice to see Thompson Valley. They played pretty well in football this year, too. That cycle kind of coming around for them, so they could really be a surprise, and they're going to finish out in that Northern Conference. They ought to be able to run the table pretty good in that Northern Conference. They beat Longmont the other night, so that's pretty big. Yeah,
Longmont ranked number 10 in Class 4A in a lot of those polls, so a big win for them. We expect them to win that Northern 4A Conference. Pueblo South, Pueblo East also in the mix there. But hey, you talked about Valor Christian and what Ronnie DeGray has done there. Obviously, they have a lot of talent. Foster, McCaffrey, Baggett. They are undefeated in the state of Colorado. All right, let's quickly talk about the girls' side. And I think it's a lot less complicated in both 5A and 4A. 5A Regis, is anybody going to beat them in state? I think the answer is clear, no. But again, you play the games. We'll see what happens then. 4A, boy, Mike Kroll, we had them on the program a few weeks ago. They have been dominating everybody that has crossed their path.
The tradition for both of these clubs, for Coach Maddie and now for Coach Kroll, we're really starting to see it come through. I mean, we're 2 years removed from Broomfield winning 5 state championships in a row. We got Bree Wilbur, we had a chance to talk to, too, who was a part of that state championship, but she just kind of carries that tradition. They know how important it is. It's really disappointing for them to get beat last year the way that they did. They really thought that they had a team that may not have had as much talent as years past, but that was just willpower. Well, now this year, I think the talent has risen up to that willpower that they have. They're going to be tough to beat. And I mean, what do you say about Regis? I know we've been talking about them every week here. They're that good. They're like the Highlands Ranch run that Coach Duraki had over the last couple of years, that run that Thunder Ridge had in the early 2000s. They're that type of team. I just don't think anybody touches them.
Yeah, you speak about Highlands Ranch, Karen Draki. February 5th, put that on your calendars. That's when Highlands Ranch and Regis going to hook up in the sport of girls basketball. I mentioned earlier in the program, Gail Hook winning 400. And
wow.
That's just a remarkable accomplishment.
Remember when they matched up with Legacy for the state championship, and Legacy ended up winning that one. She's got a state championship under her belt at Centaurus, but she's been at Monarch for 15 years. Took that little hiatus, ended up taking the U17s, the Team USA, to a gold medal. Just loves coaching, and the girls really love playing for her. It's always neat to go in and have the conversation, be able to talk with her, and look forward to seeing her in the playoffs. That team could do a little something. I think a run to the Grade 8 for Monarch would be fantastic for them because they've got a handful of losses.
All right, Corey, thanks so much, as always. And I know you're going to be sitting right here coming up next week. So Corey's going to be hosting the program here coming up next week. Another big reason to tune in. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll be back after this. We'll put a bow on this one, wrap it up on the Xfinity Sports Report.